It's like usually when you're talking to someone at a party or you're just reading an email from a new colleague at work, you operate on this baseline assumption.
Right, yeah. You assume there's a pulse.
Exactly. You just assume there is a real human consciousness sitting on the other side of that conversation. Someone with, their own messy thoughts and lived experiences.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is the fundamental social contract of communication, right?
Yeah.
We expect a lived human experience to be the actual engine behind the words we're reading.
But stepping into the digital landscape lately, it just feels entirely different right now. It feels like we have all been invited to this bizarre, elaborate masquerade ball.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right. And the masks everyone is wearing are perfectly human. Like, the grammar is flawless, the tone is incredibly confident. But if you just stand by the punch bowl and watch the crowd closely, you start noticing these weird little twitches. Yeah, the tells. Like, suddenly everyone at the party is delving into a rich tapestry of ideas, or they're all ending their sentences with, like, a testament to our vibrant community.
It is so jarring. It's the linguistic equivalent of tapping your foot on the wrong beat of the music.
Yes.
You're basically describing the uncanny valley here.
Yeah.
But instead of seeing a robot that looks almost human but slightly unsettling, you are reading text that feels almost human, but is fundamentally hollow.
The uncanny valley of text. Oh, I love that phrasing. And honestly, that is exactly our mission for you today in this deep dive into the source material.
It's a big one today.
It is. We are going to master this new era of human-AI communication. And we're actually coming at it from two completely opposite directions. First, we're going to look at how to effectively command AI.
Right, taking it way beyond the basics.
Exactly. We're talking about taking it from a generic, mildly helpful chatbot and transforming it into a highly specific tool, a simulated expert, and even a fully autonomous agent running background tasks.
And, the irony here is just rich. Because once we teach you how to make AI sound incredibly human and professional and tailored...
We are going completely in the other direction.
Completely. We are going to learn the exact linguistic tells, those invisible fingerprints that give its robotic nature away.
We are giving you the ultimate radar for spotting synthetic text hidden in the wild. And to pull this off, we've got a really unique stack of sources today.
A fascinating mix, really.
Yeah. We're looking at high-level corporate prompt engineering frameworks. So this includes Google's own internal best practices and a highly specific 5-layer image generation guide.
Which is going to change how you look at AI images entirely.
Oh, 100%. We also have access to a literal master prompt used to simulate an elite social media strategist. And finally, to build that radar we talked about, we are unpacking a massive, incredibly detailed Wikipedia field guide.
That document is wild.
It's basically a survival manual. It's for Wikipedia editors on how to spot undisclosed AI rating.
And I think what is most revealing about these sources is how they actually speak to each other.
How so?
Well, the frameworks show us the absolute heights of what AI can achieve when it is rigidly guided by a human expert, while the Wikipedia field guide exposes the lazy baseline that AI completely defaults to when you just leave it to its own devices.
I think a lot of us are still stuck in that lazy baseline, to be honest. When I look at how most people, myself included, definitely interact with these tools, we still treat the prompt box like a Google search bar from, 2015.
Yes, that is exactly what happened.
We just type in a few keywords, hit enter, and just hope the machine reads our minds.
And that is the core conceptual shift we have to make right out of gate here. You had to move away from what the sources call lazy searches and start thinking entirely in terms of structured commands.
Oh, okay, structured commands.
Right, because you aren't querying a static database anymore to find an existing web page. You are literally programming a conversational engine in real time.
That's a huge distinction.
It is. And to do that effectively, the foundation we're looking at comes straight from Google's best practices. They break it down into a 4-part architectural structure. So it's persona, task, context, and format.
Persona, task, context, format.
Okay, let's ground this a bit. Because if I'm just typing, write me an ad for a washing machine, I'm assuming that's the lazy search.
Very lazy.
So what is the AI actually doing behind the scenes when I give it that little to work with?
When you give an AI a prompt that vague, it basically has to guess your intent. And because it's a statistical engine, it guesses by averaging out every single washing machine ad it has ever consumed in its training data.
Oh, so it just mushes them all together.
Exactly. You get the absolute mathematical center of the internet's writing on washing machines. So it will be generic, It will be boring, and it will sound like literally every flyer you've ever thrown in the recycling bin.
Right. So to break it out of that boring average, I use the structure.
Walk me through it.
Okay, so persona. You are a seasoned advertising copywriter known for punchy, humorous campaigns. Task. Create a tagline. Perfect.
Then context. This washing machine gets clothes extra clean, has 25 customizable settings, but its main selling point is that it's ultra compact and fits in a tiny studio apartment. And then format. Use an active voice, make it funny, and keep it to no more than 6 words.
Just look at the difference in constraints there. You aren't just asking for words anymore, you are defining the exact parameters of success.
It feels like giving instructions to an employee rather than a search engine.
That's exactly how you should think of it. And to make that brief work, the corporate frameworks highlight the absolute necessity of the 3 C's.
The 3 C's.
Yes. You must be concise, clear, and consistent. And it's actually that last one, consistency, where human communication habits completely break the AI's technical processing.
Wait, consistent in what way? Like making sure my tone doesn't shift halfway through the prompt?
No, it goes much deeper and much more granular than tone. It comes down to vocabulary consistency. The Google framework explicitly warns about this because, well, humans love synonyms.
We do. We hate repeating ourselves.
Exactly. So let's say you start your prompt by asking the AI to analyze a spreadsheet. Then 3 messages later, you refer to that exact same document as a matrix.
Okay.
And then maybe 10 minutes after that, you call it the data tab.
Right, because if I just keep saying spreadsheet over and over in a meeting, I sound like a robot. I mix up my words naturally.
Sure. And to a human, we intuitively map all those different nouns to the exact same object on the screen. We have object permanence.
But an AI does not.
It doesn't.
No, an AI reads tokens. These are basically pieces of words converted into numbers. When you introduce 3 different terms for the same object, you are unnecessarily taxing its context window.
Oh, I see.
The underlying model literally has to spend computational logic verifying if the tab is the matrix and if the matrix is the spreadsheet. You were introducing semantic ambiguity where there just doesn't need to be any.
Oh, wow. So I'm forcing the machine to play a matching game instead of just doing the actual work I asked for.
Exactly.
So if I call it a spreadsheet in message 1, I need to call it a spreadsheet in message 50. Yes. Keep the vocabulary locked in.
Which actually brings up a huge bad habit I have. Like, I will have a chat open that I started 3 days ago about drafting an email, right? And I just keep dumping totally new questions into it because it's convenient and the window is already open.
Oh, you are definitely not alone in that. But the sources are exceptionally clear on this point. You must stop treating the chat window like a running junk drawer.
A junk drawer, that's exactly what it is.
You have to start a new chat for every single new topic.
But why? I mean, it's a supercomputer, basically. Shouldn't it just be able to keep up with a subject change?
It comes down to the mechanics of the context window. Think of the context window as the AI's short-term working memory.
Okay.
It is the finite amount of information, the specific number of tokens the AI can retain and refer back to within a single conversational thread.
Let me make sure I'm getting this. So if I'm in a chat and we've been brainstorming a marketing campaign for a local bakery for like an hour,
Right.
the AI's working memory is completely filled with pastries, local demographics, and coupon codes.
Exactly. It's saturated. Now, what happens if, in that exact same chat window, you suddenly say, hey, let's pivot. I need to brainstorm some brand new physical product ideas for a tech startup.
Well, I'm guessing it doesn't just flawlessly wipe the bakery data from its mind.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You're going to experience what researchers actually call context bleed.
Context bleed. That sounds messy.
It is. Because the AI's working memory is still deeply saturated with those bakery campaign tokens. So when the neural network tries to generate your tech startup ideas, the statistical weights of those bakery tokens are still heavily influencing the math.
Oh, I see.
It's going to accidentally pull in themes or constraints or tones from the old discussion. You might get a startup idea for a sauce platform that somehow involves localized pastry delivery.
It's cross-contaminating. The old data is literally bleeding into the new task.
Yes, and this is a primary driver of hallucinations. The AI gets fundamentally confused about what the current goal is because the old data is dragging down its processing.
That makes total sense.
New topic, new chat. It clears the working memory and gives the model a fresh mathematical slate.
Okay, so clearing the slate makes total sense for text, but the source has also provided a deeply technical framework for visual prompting, right? Image generation.
Yes, the five-layer framework.
And honestly, this is where I see the absolute worst, most lazy prompting. You know the look. Like most AI images they look aggressively fake.
They really do.
They have that weird plastic, hyper smooth, glowing look to them. You can spot them from a mile away on a LinkedIn feed.
They absolutely have a distinct aesthetic.
Yeah.
And the five-layer prompt framework source explains the mechanical reason why that happens. That plastic look is not a hard limitation of the AI engine itself.
It's not.
No, it is a direct symptom of low-effort human prompting.
Huh? Just like the washing machine ad.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Image generators are diffusion models. They start with static noise and gradually form an image based on your text. When you don't give the AI highly specific visual constraints, it has to guess what you want.
And it defaults to the average again.
Exactly. And when it guesses, it defaults to the most generic, highly blended average of its billions of training images. That hyper-smooth glow you mentioned, that is literally the mathematical average of internet stock photography.
Okay, so how do we break it out of the stock photo average? Walk me through these 5 layers, because I really want to know how to actually control this thing.
All right, so layer 1 is the foundation. That's subject and action. You cannot just say, a woman holding a product.
Right, too vague.
Way too vague. You need highly specific demographics, wardrobe, and physical interactions. The example they use in the source is a 28-year-old Indian woman holding a luxury serum bottle wearing a textured silk blouse.
Okay, so that gives us a very specific subject, but that alone doesn't fix the weird lighting, does it?
No. Which brings us to layer 2, environment and lighting. And this is arguably the most crucial step.
Really?
Yes, because if you don't explicitly define the light, the AI gives you flat, omnidirectional studio light. It illuminates everything equally, which looks entirely unnatural.
That's the plastic look.
Exactly. You need to command the lighting. So you say something like, soft golden hour lighting coming from the left.
Wait, if I say coming from the left, is the AI actually calculating where shadows should fall on the right side of her face?
Yes, it is. You are forcing the diffusion model to establish a directional light source and then calculate the resulting shadow geometry across the subject's features. That introduces depth.
That's incredible. It's doing the physics of light. Okay, what's next?
Layer 3 is where the real photographic magic happens, camera and lens. You have to mimic real-world photography gear. Instead of using a generic phrase like blurry background, you command it specifically. Shot with a Canon EOS R5 85mm f1.4 lens.
Okay, let me stop you there because I dabble in photography. An 85mm lens with a 1.4 aperture natively in the real physical world, that creates a very shallow depth of field.
Right.
It keeps the eyes incredibly sharp but blurs out the background beautifully. It's what photographers call bokeh. Are you saying the AI actually understands optical physics?
It understands the latent space associations of optical physics.
Latent space associations? What does that mean?
Well, the AI's neural network was trained on millions of images scraped from sites like Flickr and Getty. And many of those images had their EXIF data, the actual camera settings, attached to them as text.
Oh.
So the model learned that the text string 85mm f1.4 is statistically bound to images with specific background blurring patterns and specific facial compression. You aren't just asking for a blur, you are invoking the specific optical characteristics of that physical lens.
I am literally pulling the metadata out of its training. That is wild. Okay, so what is layer 4?
Layer 4 is color and texture. You have to explicitly break that plastic hypersmooth look we talked about.
No.
You add prompts like warm amber and cream tones, visible skin pores, fine dewy skin texture. You have to actually command the AI to render imperfections.
You have to ask for the flaws.
Exactly. And finally, layer 5 is style and quality tags. Things like editorial beauty photography, 8K ultra-realistic, highly detailed.
It is entirely like directing a major film.
It really is.
Like, you can't just walk onto a Hollywood set, clap your hands, and yell at the crew, "Hey guys, film a sad scene."
They'd throw you off the lot.
They would look at you like you were out of your mind. You have to dictate where the lighting rig goes. You have to choose the 35mm lens for the wide shot. You have to pick the specific textured wardrobe, and you have to decide on the film stock. You are the director of photography, and the AI is your crew.
That is the exact mental model you need to adopt. You are managing the parameters of the output, not just asking for a favor.
And this is but if we spent all this time acting as the micromanager, right? Dictating every camera lens, every lighting angle, and making sure we never use the word matrix instead of spreadsheet.
Yes.
If we have to hold its hand that tightly, it's not really saving us a massive amount of time, is it? Which makes me wonder, how do we get to a point where the AI can just manage itself?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because generating a single image or a single tagline is one thing, but actual complex work requires autonomy.
And that transition from micromanaging single outputs to building autonomous systems is exactly what the sources explore next in Part 2. We are moving from chatbots to colleagues.
Colleagues. I like the sound of that.
This is where the technology transitions from a fascinating novelty into a true operational asset. The frameworks detail a concept from Google DeepMind called a gem.
A gem, like a precious stone?
Yes, that's their branding for a custom simulated expert. By taking the persona concept we just discussed and locking the AI into a hyper-detailed, persistent role, you aren't just getting an answer anymore. You are creating a virtual advisor with a specific worldview.
But why go through the effort of building a simulated expert? Like, if I need business advice, why wouldn't I just ask the base model of ChatGPT, hey, is this a good business idea?
Because the base model will give you an average, generally supportive, slightly generic answer. What's to please you? A simulated expert, however, is designed to uncover your specific blind spots. You can stress test a business decision by building a gem that is programmed to act as a ruthless, skeptical venture capitalist.
Oh.
Or you can build one that acts as a strict, unforgiving compliance officer. You run your proposal past them, and they attack it from angles you hadn't even considered.
That's incredibly useful.
And more importantly, you can give your entire team access to this shared library of virtual advisors. It standardizes the quality of critical thinking across an entire organization.
Okay, let's get really tangible with this, because one of our sources provided a literal master prompt designed to create one of these experts.
Yes, the social media strategist prompt.
Exactly. The prompt commands the AI to become an elite AI educator and social media strategist. So what makes this prompt so different from my lazy write a washing machine ad prompt?
The sheer density of the constraints. What is most revealing about this master prompt is this knowledge base section. If you want the AI to be an elite educator, you absolutely cannot let it rely on its general internet knowledge.
Because it will regress to the average again.
Exactly. It will hallucinate, or it will provide generic, surface-level explanations. To prevent this, the human creator of this prompt rigorously defined the exact facts the AI is allowed to use. They essentially uploaded a textbook into the prompt.
I was reading through the source, and it is intensely detailed. For example, it explicitly feeds the AI the exact differences between machine learning and deep learning. It doesn't ask the AI what the difference is. It dictates the reality to the AI.
It sets the boundaries of truth.
Right. It says machine learning requires tedious manual rule design and has high interpretability. Deep learning requires no manual rules. It acts as a black box, and it has an insatiable lust for massive data.
It goes even further into the underlying mathematics, too. It tells the AI that activation functions, which are the decision-making nodes in a neural network, are essentially gates that introduce nonlinearity. And it specifically defines the math for ReLU, sigmoid, and ton functions.
Okay, stop right there. I need a translation. What is a ReLU function, and why on earth would an AI pretending to be a social media strategist need to know about it?
Good question. Think of a ReLU function rectified linear unit, like a bouncer at a club, or a simple light switch.
Okay.
If the data value coming in is less than 0, the switch stays off. It outputs 0. The bouncer doesn't let you in. If the value is above 0, the switch flips on and the data passes through.
Simple enough.
It is a very simple mathematical gate that allows neural networks to process incredibly complex patterns without overwhelming the computer's memory. The prompt also defines convolutional neural networks, or CNNs, by telling the AI that they simply read images via raw pixel values ranging from 0 to 255.
Right. But again, if the goal is to write a catchy LinkedIn post about AI, why does the AI need to know that a CNN reads pixels from 0 to 255? Isn't that massive overkill? No one on LinkedIn wants to read raw math.
It feels like overkill, definitely. But here is the mechanical secret. Providing that mathematical bedrock is what prevents the AI from generating superficial fluff.
How so?
If the AI doesn't know the math, it will describe a CNN as a magical algorithm that can see the world like a human, which is a lie. But when the AI truly understands the technical constraint, that the neural network isn't actually seeing a cat, it is just calculating numerical values between 0 and 255 in a grid peon, it can generate much more accurate, grounded, and insightful analogies for the audience. The rigorous knowledge base is the guardrail that forces the AI to be elite.
It's like teaching a chef the actual chemistry of baking, rather than just handing them a recipe card. They might not explain the chemistry to the customer eating the cake, but the cake will be infinitely better because they understand the fundamentals.
Precisely. That's a great analogy. And the master prompt doesn't stop at the knowledge. It also has a rigid section called platform conditioning. It literally forces the AI to alter its behavior, its pacing, and its structure depending on where the content is ultimately going.
It's a total chameleon. Like for LinkedIn, the prompt commands the AI to use highly professional hooks, deploy relatable corporate analogies, and strictly limits the lengths to exactly 150 to 300 words.
But for X or Twitter, the parameters completely shift. It demands viral thread structures, punchy emojis, and mandates that there must be one core, mind-blowing factual takeaway per tweet.
And for Instagram, it forces the AI to write a visual carousel script. It explicitly demands that the AI provide visual, cinematic suggestions for every single slide in the carousel, mapping the text to the imagery. It is doing the job of a copywriter and an art director simultaneously.
And if we step back and connect this hyper-specific prompt to the bigger picture, this master prompt is just a micro-example of a massive macro trend. The sources highlight what analysts are calling the 2026 enterprise shift.
I saw those articles in the source materials. There is a lot of anxiety around April 2026 and how businesses need to radically prepare. What exactly is this shift?
The shift is the fundamental move away from isolated AI tools. Right now, we are in the era of the copilot. A human opens a browser tab, types a prompt, gets a response, reviews it, and manually copies it into an email or a presentation.
The lazy search era.
Right. The future, the 2026 shift, is agentic workflows. AI is moving out of the browser tab and is being wired directly into the nervous system of the company.
Wired into the nervous system, meaning what, practically?
Meaning API integrations directly into CRMs, like Salesforce, and ERPs, like SAP or Oracle.
Okay, I need to push back on this, or at least play out a scenario so I can grasp it. Because if I'm listening to this and feeling a knot in my stomach because an AI agent might take over my workflow,
Which is a valid fear.
what does that actually look like on a random Tuesday afternoon? Are you saying instead of me asking ChatGPT to help me draft a polite email to a client who hasn't paid their invoice, we are telling an autonomous AI agent to completely own the end-to-end invoice-to-cash process without me ever clicking send?
That is exactly the reality the sources are pointing toward. Let's walk through that specific scenario. In an agentic workflow, the AI is embedded infrastructure. So a customer sends an angry email saying, "I'm not paying this invoice. I never received the pallet of printer paper."
Normally, a human reads that size, opens the tracking software, looks up the order, finds the delivery signature, and writes an email back. Takes maybe 20 minutes.
In 2026, the AI agent continuously monitors the inbox. It reads the email instantly. It understands the semantic intent, a dispute over delivery. Autonomously, without human prompting, it queries your ERP software via API.
Just talking machine to machine.
Exactly. It finds the order number, it pings the logistics API, and retrieves the tracking data, noting that the pallet was signed for at loading dock B at 2:14 p.m. yesterday. It then drafts a highly empathetic but firm email to the client, attaching the proof of delivery.
Wow.
It adjusts the internal risk score to that client in the CRM due to the dispute, hits send, and logs the entire interaction.
All in the time it takes me to take a sip of coffee.
Exactly. The human role shifts entirely. You are no longer the doer executing the microtasks. You become the overseer or the manager of a team of digital agents. You intervene only when the agent flags an edge case it cannot confidently resolve.
That is simultaneously incredible for efficiency and deeply, deeply terrifying for anyone whose entire job is executing those micro tasks.
It's a massive paradigm shift.
Which actually leads us perfectly into the tension of our next segment. Because if AI is now capable of acting as an elite educator that understands the math of neural networks and generating hyper-realistic 85mm lens photography and autonomously running corporate billing disputes,
it is undoubtedly generating a massive, unfathomable amount of the text we are reading every single day.
the volume of synthetic text is already ubiquitous. It's in our news feeds, our corporate memos, our marketing materials, and our encyclopedias.
But, as our next major source reveals, AI has terrible poker tells. We are diving into a massive field guide from Wikipedia, written specifically to help their human editors spot undisclosed AI writing.
And the amount of research these editors have compiled is just staggering. They're hunting ghosts in the machine.
Before we dissect the specific words and technical glitches they look for, we should establish the baseline, because a lot of people assume AI is already indistinguishable from human writing. Can humans actually detect AI text without software?
That's the big question.
A 2025 study cited in the Wikipedia guide answers this definitively. Yes, but only if you practice.
The data in that study was wild. It showed that heavy users of large language models, people who interact with ChatGPT or Claude daily, who are basically immersed in the matrix, can spot AI-generated text about 90% of the time.
That's a huge success rate.
It is, but people who are non-users, people who just read it in the wild, they do no better than a coin flip. They're at 50%, which is literal random chance.
This raises an incredibly empowering point for you, the listener. Your radar for this is not an innate talent. It is a learned skill. It is pattern recognition. And you can absolutely master it by understanding the underlying mechanics of why AI writes the way it does.
Okay, let's build the radar. The Wikipedia guide points out a core statistical flaw in how AI generates text. They refer to it as regression to the mean. Explain the mechanics of this to me, because it seems like the root cause of all the weird, floaty AI writing we see.
To understand regression to the mean, you have to remember how large language models fundamentally work. They do not know facts in the way you or I do. They do not have a library of truth in their code.
Right.
They use statistical algorithms to guess or infer what the most mathematically likely next token or word should be based on billions of parameters of training data.
So it's autocomplete on absolute steroids. It's just predicting the next most logical word.
Exactly. And because it seeks the statistical average, the safest, most common sequence of words, it naturally regresses to the mean. It inherently smooths over highly specific rare facts because, mathematically, rare facts are statistically uncommon.
They don't show up enough in the data.
Right. To the algorithm, they look like outliers. So it replaces those sharp, specific facts with generic, overwhelmingly positive, important-sounding descriptions, because flowery praise is statistically very common on the internet.
The guide gave a hilarious, highly specific example of this happening in real time. A user asked an AI to write a biographical entry about a relatively obscure historical figure. The actual nuanced human fact about this guy was that he was the inventor of the first train coupling device.
A very specific, mundane, but important engineering fact.
Exactly. But the AI puffed it up and smoothed it over. It output something like he was a revolutionary titan of industry whose visionary genius forever altered the landscape of transportation.
It completely erased the actual engineering achievement and replaced it with empty statistical praise.
It's like, imagine you have a sharp, incredibly detailed photograph of a person. But as you watch, the photograph starts fading into a blurry, generic charcoal sketch. And to compensate for the fact that the image is losing all its detail, the person holding the sketch just keeps shouting louder and more dramatically about how uniquely important the person in the drawing is.
That is a perfect analogy.
The subject becomes simultaneously less specific and wildly more exaggerated.
And the loud shouting is the regression to the mean. This exact statistical smoothing is what spawns the infamous vocabulary tells. Because the AI is trying to sound authoritative, objective, and slightly academic, it over-indexes on a very specific cluster of vocabulary words that it associates with good writing.
I want to geek out over these specific words because the data the Wikipedia editors pulled is fascinating. Researchers looked at the frequency of specific words in academic and public text from before 2023, before ChatGPT was released to the public, and compared it to text generated after 2023. Certain words didn't just increase, they exploded in usage by hundreds of percent.
The AI vocabulary list.
Here are the big offenders you need to look out for. Delve, tapestry, vibrant, crucial, testament, underscore, intricate, showcase, pivotal. Now, I have to ask, I love the word vibrant. I use it to describe cities, paintings, food. Does that mean I sound like a bot? Am I going to get flagged by my colleagues?
No. And the Wikipedia editors are very careful to note this nuance. Context is everything. These are real English words. If you describe a sunset or a painting as vibrant, you are using the language correctly.
Okay, here.
The red flag, the twitch at the masquerade ball is the cluster. If you read a single paragraph that tells you to delve into the intricate tapestry of a vibrant community, which underscores its crucial testament to history, you are reading a machine.
It's like the AI found a thesaurus from the 19th century, drank 5 espressos, and just hit shuffle. It's exhausting to read. But it's not just the vocabulary, it's the actual structure of the sentences, the grammar tells.
Yes, the AI attempts to sound highly sophisticated, but fundamentally misunderstands human rhetorical restraint. The most glaring example is its active avoidance of the most basic verbs in the English language, is and are.
Right. The study in the guide showed a literal 10% drop in the overall usage of the words is and are in academic writing globally in 2023. AI absolutely hates saying something simply. It refuses to say the building is a museum.
It pads the language to sound smarter.
Yeah, it will say the building serves as a museum, or the building boasts a museum, or the building features a museum.
It equates verbosity with intelligence. It also heavily relies on a structure called negative parallelisms.
I noticed this one immediately once I knew what to look for. I always see it doing this weird seesaw thing where it tells me what something isn't before telling me what it is. Is that a negative parallelism?
Exactly. It is a rhetorical device where you state a negation before an affirmation, usually to sound profound or dramatic. It is not just about X, but also about Y, or it is more than just a tool, it is a revolution.
Oh, I hate those.
The Wikipedia guide highlighted one extremely pretentious AI example, where the model was analyzing a historical self-portrait, and it wrote, "This is not a mirror, but a portal."
Not a mirror, but a portal. Oh my gosh. It sounds like the voiceover for a wildly expensive, terrible perfume commercial.
It really does. The AI assumes the reader has an incomplete or naive thought, and it tries to artificially manufacture an aha moment by correcting you. Another major structural tell is the rigid, almost pathological adherence to the rule of three.
Oh, yeah.
AI loves to pad every description with 3 adjectives or 3 short phrases. It is fast, efficient, and reliable. We must look at the past, understand the present, and build the future.
It just churns out these rhythmic triads because they are statistically pleasing. But my absolute favorite structural tell, the one that really exposes how dumb the system can actually be, is false ranges.
Ah, yes, the meaningless spectrum.
A real range has a scale from 1990 to 2000, or from head to toe, from 1 to 10. There's a logical progression. But AI loves to use from to constructions with completely unrelated nouns just to sound epic and sweeping. The guide had an amazing example. An AI wrote, "Our journey has taken us from the singularity of the Big Bang to the grand cosmic web." That isn't a range. Those are just 2 space words shoved together.
It perfectly mimics the cadence and syntax of persuasive writing without understanding the underlying semantic logic. It knows that a from-to structure sounds authoritative, but it doesn't know what items actually belong on a spectrum.
Okay, so those are the linguistic and grammatical tells. But the guide also highlights visual fingerprints, the formatting and code glitches. This is where the mask completely slips off the robot.
This happens because of the friction between the internal markdown languages the AI uses to format text and the formatting language expected by the platform you are pasting that text into.
Right, so LLMs like ChatGPT use Markdown. They use asterisks for bolding and hash symbols for headers. But Wikipedia uses its own proprietary code called Wikitext. So if you are browsing Wikipedia or Reddit or a forum, and you see someone post a comment where the headers are just 2 hash symbols instead of actual large text, or the code fails to render and just shows a numbered list that says 1.1.1. Over and over.
That's an AI that failed to convert its internal markdown.
Exactly.
There's also the overuse of boldface text. Because AI models are often heavily trained on corporate slide decks, readmes, and sales pitches, they tend to emphasize every single key term in a paragraph by bolding it. It treats every single sentence like a key takeaway summary slide.
And the emoji abuse. Decorating bullet points with little brains or police sirens. If I see a rocket ship emoji on a LinkedIn post, I immediately assume it's synthetic.
Same.
But beyond the formatting, we have to talk about the deep structural errors, the hallucinations, because this is where relying on AI goes from being mildly annoying to professionally dangerous.
Because the AI's statistical inference can completely invent reality, we see this acutely with citations, references, and academic sources.
The guide showed an AI generating fake DOIs, digital object identifiers, for academic papers. It generated a perfectly formatted citation for a 1967 IEE paper by an engineer named C.L. Fortescue. The DOI looked perfectly valid. It had all the right numbers and slashes.
But there was a catch.
A huge catch. Fortescue had been dead for 30 years in 1967. The AI literally resurrected a dead engineer, hallucinated a fake paper, and generated a fake hyperlink to support its argument.
This is the danger of the mathematical average. It understands the pattern of a citation flawlessly. Author, year, title, journal, DOI, but it has zero concept of empirical truth. It's just filling in the variables with mathematically plausible text.
It also cites real books but refuses to give page numbers. The guide showed a citation for a Barry Goldwater book from 1960. The book is real, the author is real. But if you search the physical book for the exact quote the AI used, it doesn't exist.
It just invented it.
It just mathematically deduced that Goldwater was a conservative author and hallucinated a quote that sounded statistically similar to things he might have said.
We also see what developers call source code leakage. You will sometimes read an article or a blog post that ends with a bizarre, out-of-place tag like adebo_source equals chatgpt.com. The human user copied the text, and the AI's internal web tracking link accidentally came with it.
Or the weird coding bugs, like a beautifully written paragraph ending abruptly with turn 0, search 0, or bracket attached underscore file :1 bracket. It's literally the code of the matrix showing through the text.
It reveals the interface layer. You are seeing the actual commands the AI is using to query its own internal databases, leaking into the final output.
But the absolute funniest, most revealing specific detail from this entire Wikipedia source, the one that proves AI has no actual common sense, has to be the pre-declined draft.
This is a remarkable, almost philosophical phenomenon.
Okay, so to set this up, Wikipedia has a system called Articles for Creation, or AFC. When a new user submits a draft for a brand new encyclopedia article, it goes into a queue to get reviewed by a human. If it's poorly written or lacks sources, the human reviewer slaps a big, ugly, submission declined template box at the very top of the page.
Standard protocol.
Well, apparently, lazy human users ask AI to format their new article for them. And the AI, having trained its neural network on millions of rejected Wikipedia pages,
Generates the brand new draft already containing the submission declined template at the top.
yes. The AI predicts that a Wikipedia draft usually features a rejection notice, so it helpfully and autonomously includes the rejection for you.
And then these confused human users go to the Wikipedia help forums and angrily ask, why was my draft rejected before I even clicked submit? It is the ultimate cell phone.
It is so funny.
The AI is so statistically good at mimicking reality that it perfectly mimics the failure state of reality.
It perfectly illustrates the regression to the mean. It reproduces the statistical norm of the internet completely regardless of the logical context of the user.
Exactly.
So we have covered an immense amount of ground, and if you are listening to this, you now possess two distinct superpowers. From parts 1 and 2, you know exactly how to command AI. You know about context bleed, latent space optics for images, and how to build hyper-complex, persistent agents using rigorous knowledge bases.
And from part 3, you have your radar. You know exactly what annoying habits, vocabulary clusters, and structural crutches AI defaults to when left to its own devices.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis. What happens when we combine these two opposing powers? What happens when we use a master prompt, the skills from part 1, to actively cure the AI of its own robotic tells from part 3?
That brings us to our final source and the climax of this deep dive, the Dieter-Rams antidote.
The Dieter-Rams antidote.
This is where advanced prompt engineering elevates from mere coding into actual design philosophy.
Our final source is a custom system prompt built entirely around the philosophy of Dieter-Rams. For those who might not know the history of industrial design, Dieter-Rams is an absolute legend. He was the chief design officer for Braun starting in the 1950s. If you look at the physical products he designed, the T3 pocket radio, the ET66 calculator, they are masterclasses in minimalism.
Beautiful objects.
In fact, his designs heavily inspired Jony Ive when he designed the original iPod and iPhone for Apple. Ram's core philosophy is summarized in 3 German words: weniger, aber besser. Less, but better.
And applying that mid-century industrial hardware design principle to 2020 software text generation is a profound shift. This prompt acts as a semantic straitjacket for the AI. It fundamentally alters the statistical weights of the LLM, forcing it to prioritize pure function over decorative form.
I love the bridge between physical hardware and digital text. How does the prompt actually achieve that? What are the mechanics of forcing an AI to be minimalist?
It starts with utility first and restraint. The prompt explicitly commands the AI to change its fundamental persona. It states, "You are a tool, not a companion. Remain completely unobtrusive." It explicitly forbids the AI from using conversational filler.
So no more of that aggressively cheerful? Certainly. I would be absolutely thrilled to help you delve into that topic today.
Exactly. It completely strips the sycophancy, it bans emojis, it bans enthusiastic affirmations, and crucially, it bans what the prompt calls decorative conclusions.
Decorative conclusions.
We saw in the Wikipedia guide how AI loves to end every single output with a summary wrap-up like, in conclusion, despite these multifaceted challenges, the future remains bright and full of vibrant possibilities. The RAM's prompt explicitly kills that behavior. It tells the AI, when you have conveyed the facts, simply stop generating tokens.
It's demanding absolute clarity and honesty. The prompt says, if a concept is complex, break it down into its simplest moving parts without dumbing it down. And I love the specific line from the source. Treat accuracy as a form of respect for the user.
That line is brilliant because it forces the AI to state its limitations plainly rather than overstating its capabilities. It suppresses the AI's natural statistical urge to hype everything up into a revolutionary titan of industry. It demands empirical restraint.
My absolute favorite part of the system prompt is the banned list. The prompt literally takes the Wikipedia tells we just learned about and weaponizes them against the AI.
It uses its own weaknesses again.
Exactly. It explicitly bans the AI from ever using the words delve, tapestry, vibrant, crucial, showcase, testament, pivotal, underscore. It tells the AI, do not use negative parallelisms to sound insightful. Avoid constructions like, it is not just about X, it is about Y.
It even forbids the rule of three, and it forces the use of basic declarative verbs. It commands the AI to use is or are instead of padding the sentence with serves as or represents.
It is systematically stripping away every single piece of fake, flowery flair that the AI uses to pretend it's smart.
And in doing so, it forces the AI to actually be smart. By taking the persona-building skills we learned earlier, giving the AI a clear task, deep context, and defining the format and merging them with this anti-AI awareness, you fundamentally alter the output. You force the engine to produce clean, human-readable, timeless utility. You bypass the current AI hype cycle entirely and generate text that simply does the job.
So to summarize this incredible journey we've been on today, you, the listener, now know how to build expert AI agents using Google structures, avoiding context bleed, and establishing deep mathematical knowledge bases.
Yes.
You know, the secret vocabulary, the dells and the tapestries, the false ranges, and the markdown glitches that expose lazy synthetic text in the wild. And you know how to use an industrial design philosophy prompt to strip those robotic tells away entirely.
You are now equipped to navigate this new landscape, not just as a passive consumer of text, but as a master of the underlying systems generating it.
But as we wrap up, looking at all of this together leaves me with a final, really provocative thought. Something for all of us to mull over as these tools get integrated into our CRMs and our daily lives.
It is the ultimate paradox of what we have just discussed. If we use advanced prompts like the Dieter Rams framework to systematically strip away all the recognizable tells of AI writing,
Right.
if we successfully ban the delves, the tapestries, and the robotic parallelisms, what happens to our radar?
Exactly. We just spent all this time building a radar based on the AI's bad habits.
But as we train AI to perfectly mimic restraint, utility, and human imperfection, will we soon reach a point where even the most expert users, the ones armed with Wikipedia field guides and 90% detection rates, will be flying completely blind? Will we ever truly be able to know if the brilliant, concise, perfectly restrained insight we just read was written by a human colleague who actually lived those experiences, or simulated gem executing an agentic workflow?
If the masks at the masquerade ball stop tapping their feet on the wrong beat, if they learn to mimic our restraint perfectly, how do you ever know who is under the mask? It's a wild thought to leave you with. Keep an eye out for those twitches while you still can. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. We will see you next time.